I want to live in memory. So, as you know, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Who do you think killed him? Forces. A lot of things had to go right for him to commit suicide. Yeah. I don't think Hillary Clinton would have anything to do with that. Or maybe the royal family of England. Little Andrew was a bit of a queer fucking boy, fuck little boys in your bumhole. Sleep with underage girls. That just proves that the Luciferians rule the world. Because if there was truly, if the people in the power that own all the power were actually good, well, you know, the funny thing is that a lot of these people were Democrats, right, and far leftists, and that's kind of funny. No wonder they wanted him dead. Because why would they want him alive? To tell everybody how fucking nasty people they are that have been running the country for the last 30 years. Me, myself, and I sitting around getting high. Never knew too much, but I knew I've done well. And all the lies you told me, believed them to be true. And now it's all up to you to be someone new. To be someone new. Me, myself, and I sitting around getting high. Never knew too much, but I knew I've done well. And all the lies you told, believe them to be true. All the lies you told, believe them to be true. And now you meet your end. And now you meet your end. I don't need to feel this way. Feel my pain go away. The sun will shine for another day. Oh my love, go away. Me, myself, and I sitting around getting high. Never knew too much, but I knew I've done well. And all the lies you told, believe them to be true. Me, myself, and I don't know why I cry all the time, and it's all because of you. It's so broken I'm a leader now, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, walking back in time, I woke this morning breaking time. Oh, my kitty's gonna be a tube star. Hey, Milo, Milo, come on, look. Look, there you go. Look, they're on TV. Look, Milo. Milo, you're on TV, buddy. You're on TV. Yeah, you're on TV. Kitten kisses are the best. I'm in the mean That's crazy. My cat actually loves me playing guitar. Actually, since he was born, he's heard me play guitar and he loves it. He always wants to hang out when I'm playing guitar. Simple lady warrior, hold me, I leave, hold inside and thought and beam. Oh, me darling, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, mo, do. Better do it this way. Piccolo, mini, piccolo, a piccolo, a piccolo, mini, piccolo, mini, piccolo, mini, piccolo, mini, a piccolo, mini, piccolo, mini, a piccolo, mini, a piccolo, mini, a piccolo, a piccolo, mini, a piccolo. Let's go and try something else. Daddy sold me down the river. Hold me down, hold me down. All the world is broken, yeah. All the world is broken, yeah. I find my way home, and I don't know where to go in time. Down, hold me river. She sold me down the river. And time is gone. And Fridayness is slowly gone. Oh yeah. I'm the son better when I do the do re mi's. Do re mi fa. Do re mi fa sol. Do re fa ti sol. Do re mi fa ti sol. Do. Yeah. This world is dark and scary. It's not scary. Just got to be ready because of the hordes are coming. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. In the Old Norse, they told a story of the Ragnarok. I know a lot of these fucking retards in the world think that the Ragnarok is a Thor movie, but it's actually not a Thor movie. The Ragnarok is the end of time, and it goes in. This was like 1,000 years ago. The Old Norse believed in the Ragnarok. All the gods die. They all die because of Loki. Loki, he raised an undead army from Niflheim. The realm of Hela. Hela's not evil though. Hela is just a goddess of death and decay. Sounds evil, but in the Old Norse, in the old tales, death is really not something that's evil, and decay is just the course of life. Death, Hela, is just a circle of life ending, right? And decay, death and decay is what happens to people when they die. And that's what's happening to our civilization. Decay in the death throes. And we're in the husk of what we used to be. You know, you got people going around talking about how shitty everybody is. Mostly people that look like me. But, you know, there is no justice for those people. There is no satisfying those people. They're like Hela. They live in the Hall of Hunger. In her great hall. And it's called Hunger. And every time people that have been thrown to Niflheim, they every time they touch food, it decays right before their eyes, so they're always hungry. They're always hungry, and that's for the worst of them. And then there's other parts of hell at Niflheim that, I think that's right, Niflheim. I shouldn't talk about stuff that I'm not completely educated on, but yeah, no, it's, you know, there's different levels of hell, and the one level of hell is if you're just a shithead, you get murdered and killed again, over and over again, murdered and killed, over and over again. You never live, you never die, you just constantly are dead. You live, whoa, great, you die. Whoa, great, I'm dead. No, and then you're alive, then you're dead. And then there's the other ones where you're constantly being poked with poisonous daggers or swords. It depends on who you're, depending on your source. But and they constantly are going down. I guess it would be kind of like the river Styx in my Greek. But but they keep on piercing you and stabbing you with poison. That's only one level of hell. That's like just a moderate level for being a dickhead. But a lot of these people that really want to promote the hate and the anger and shit, yeah, they're just lost, and they will end up in hell's great hall of hunger. I don't know what would be worse, dying every day or starving every day. Regardless, it's still shitty, but we are in the decay of this civilization. This civilization is decaying at a rate that's beyond recognition. I've only been on this planet for 4 decades, and in those 4 decades, you know, we got people getting married. You know, we're getting people same-sex marriage, or we're getting people trying to promote pedophilia. We got, you know, the so-called sexual revolution, where, you know, women have no responsibility for what they do, and the government pays for them to be irresponsible, and men are getting thrown through the dragged through the coals, and if you look like me, then it's even going to get worse before it gets any better. Denying all truth. In the story of the Ragnarok, you know, it is a time when men don't lose all morality, and pedophilia and all this stuff becomes the norm. We lose all sense of which is the word I'm looking for, of reflection, and we lose all the ability to think for ourselves, and we become immoral beings where it's acceptable to sleep with as many people as you possibly can, and, you know, exploit children, and murder each other, and kill babies and shit. In some countries they even rape babies because they have some sense of well, they're demons. Anybody who could rape a baby is rape a baby that's less than 3 years old is in all accounts and purposes, no matter what color your skin is fucking evil. And people who practice that and do that, there's a special place in hell for them. And they're not where I'm going. That's for sure. But you gotta find your way. You gotta pick your side now. You gotta find your faith. You gotta find your hope. Because one of the main things that's happening to the human species on the whole, not just in Canada and the United States, but in Europe and all over the world, people are becoming immoral. We've lost our way. We have bought into commercialism and you know, consumption and you know, what's those? I don't watch TV much. Shows like Big Brother, what are they called again? I have no idea. What do they call those shows again? Reality TV. Reality TV. There's no reality in that TV. There's more reality in Looney Tunes. Or Naruto. Actually, I really love my cartoons, so. That's one of the reasons why I love cartoons, actually, is because there is more realism in them. Even if it just seems so fantastic. Like one of my favorites, one of my favorite cartoons of all time is probably Naruto. And if you watch the series, you can see him grow as a person and how powerful he becomes in the end. It's amazing. Our Avatar, The Last Airbender, like that's a movie. That's a series that's the last of the great times of cinema and TV and stuff. Now they don't even make cartoons like that anymore. They don't even want to try to make cartoons like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Thankfully, we have Japan, and thankfully Japan still thinks it's cool to watch manga and stuff. But well, manga's the comics, but a lot of great animators in Japan, and I'm so grateful for the animators in Japan. I wish the West would understand more about animation, and I wish we'd get rid of all this CGI shit and lean more into animation, true animation, pen and paper, and you know, if you're going to use computer computer graphics to generate 90% of the film. Why don't you just draw a fucking film? Why don't you just make a film that it's actually animated, not just made to look fantastic? Like, I love Doctor Strange, the Marvel comic, the Marvel, even the Marvel movie that came out just before the Doctor Strange movie. The animated version from Lionsgate Studios. They're one of the best Marvel. They're one of the better Marvel companies. I don't think they're still associated with Marvel, but because of Disney. But Lionsgate, yeah, they did a lot of Marvel comics in animation form. And the Doctor Strange animated series or animated show was really, 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 really good. Really good. It made me like Doctor Strange. I don't really care about Doctor Strange. Never really read the comics. I've always been more into DC. But because DC, in my opinion, is more believable. Batman. That's one word. That's all I have to say. There is nobody cooler than Batman. He kicked the fuck out of Superman. A normal man beat up Superman. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers ruined that franchise too, because that movie, Batman vs Superman, was based on a graphic novel by I can't remember, but it was based on a graphic novel called Kingdom Come, and yeah, and it's. And Warner Brothers did an animated series about it, an animated miniseries about it, and it was really, 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 really fantastic. It was one of the best Warner Brothers animated shows ever, in my opinion. If you haven't seen it, The Dark Knight Returns, it's really, 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 really good. And Justice League could never, ever. Batman versus Superman. It never ever brought as much power, and you never get a sense of how powerful Superman is and how powerful Batman is and how incredibly intelligent Batman is. They didn't even put the fucking Green Arrow in there, which is retarded because Green Arrow was a fucking huge part of it. Without too many spoilers, but Green Arrow played a huge part in that, in Batman beating up Superman, but he wasn't even in the movie. Like, who cares? Like, Green Arrow is awesome. If you don't like Green Arrow, you're fucked. You're fucking, he's just like Batman. But he shoots bows and arrows instead. And he's a lot more cocky, and he's not as brooding, and he's like Tony Stark, actually. Oliver. Can't ever remember his last name. But Oliver, yeah. He's like Tony Stark, man. Where Batman is more like brooding and to himself. Because Batman's smart. Batman is the greatest superhero that was ever conceived. Because he's not super. That's what's so great about Batman. He's not super. But anyways, during the story of the Ragnarok, all the gods die. Thor ends up dying. Odin dies. Tyr dies. They all die. I can't remember what happens to freaking Freya and Frigg and all of them. But Skard. But I can't remember what happens to all of them. But the main characters die. Thor gets killed by Jormungand, which is was his nemesis, arch nemesis, which is another one of Loki's children. Thor ends up killing him because Thor's awesome, but he dies from his injuries. Odin. How did Odin die? I can't remember. It wasn't Fenrir. Was it Fenrir? I can't remember. I guess I could Google it, but I don't want to. I thought Tyr died by Fenrir. Can't remember. No, Loki kills Odin. That's what happens. Yeah, Loki kills Odin. Which is sad because Odin treated Loki like a brother, and Loki betrayed all the gods. Yeah, he wasn't even a god. I don't know why they keep on portraying him as a god. He wasn't a god. He was a giant. He was the king of the giants. Actually, more specifically, he was the king of the fire giants. But I guess Odin thought he was humorous. I don't know. That's another thing too. They want to make Thor a woman. They have made him a woman and whatever. And that's insulting to me. That's very insulting to me to make Thor a woman, because it's the same. It doesn't constitute anything. It would be the same as if somebody was to make Muhammad a woman or Jesus Christ a woman. It just doesn't matter. Like, if you want to think about Thor as a mythical character, a mythical being, that is one thing. But it's not real. It's to make him a woman is an insult to those who actually follow the path, of their ancestors. It's a huge insult to people like myself. But I'm few and far between. Like, there's very few of us out there. But thankfully, the community's grown. A lot of people use Norse mythology as a vessel for evil, though, and hate, which is not acceptable. Because no matter what stories or sagas you've read or been told, Odin never would promote hate. None of the gods would promote hate. Maybe Thor against giants, but anyways. Giants are a big problem in Asgard. But he also protects Midgard. So, and I actually think that's what's happening right now. Is that Ragnarok has happened? I think that the Ragnarok is fighting right now, and the eternal battle is going on, and it's going on right now in our hearts and our minds. It's in the hearts and minds of men. Because we're all part of the same circle. We're all part of the same spider web. We're all part of the same thing in the universe. And if the gods are fighting, and I truly believe that they are fighting for us right now. And all you got to do is look around and see what's going on in the world. And see all the ideas that these people have, and how unproductive is all it is right now. We're less productive than we've ever been in our entire history. And we're more technologically advanced than any time in our history as well. But we're being way more unproductive. Like, instead of loving each other and becoming better, we are promoting hate and ignorance. We've lived on this planet for many, many years, like thousands of years we've been on this planet. And I honestly believe the gods put us on the four corners of the earth. Everybody had their place, and we were meant to meet in the middle somewhere. And those who couldn't meet in the middle died. And that's the way nature works. The strong survive, the weak must die. It's a sad truth, but allowing the weak to live is why we have all these problems right now. Why people buy into these ideas and we need safe spaces and shit. Because they're weak-minded, completely ignorant to the world around them, completely ignorant to the sun and the stars and the moon, and our connection to the sun and the stars and the moon. Our connection to our gods. They'd rather fucking buy into Marxism and communism than buy into faith. But their ideas are like totally crazy. they're just clamoring for something to fill that empty space in their fucking empty hearts. And so they buy into these crazy ideas, virtue signaling about whatever fucking thing happens. Like people like Jeffrey Epstein. You know, you can say what you will about him. He was an evil man. But he was just feeling a need for the wicked. And the sad truth is that these people are running the world. And they've ran the world for the last 30, 40 years. You know, people can say what they want about Trump. And I really hope that he is who I hope he is. I hope he is who I think he is. And I think he's truly a good man. In his heart of hearts, I truly think he's a good man. I think that he really, truly wants the best for America. And you know, whatever goes in the South, you know, if south of Canada, it affects me directly. So if we were to get Hillary Clinton in power, we would have gone to war with Russia. The war would have never stopped. The war would never cease. Because, what's their god that they worship, supposedly? The Illuminati talks about them. Bohemian Grove and shit. What is it? Kala? Whatever. A demon. They worship a demon. Anything that requires you to sacrifice blood. Well, maybe human sacrifice was a good way for population control. In the old Norse days, they used to have human sacrifice, but it was all voluntary. It wasn't like they just said, oh no, you're going to die. You know, because the greatest joy for a Viking or a Norseman was to join the gods in Valhalla. And if he lived true to his word and he was a good man, he had nothing to fear from death. So the sooner you can get him to death, you know, the better, you know. It's like something I've read or something I've seen, you know. In the Old Norse, if you were old, it was almost considered an insult because you haven't proved yourself enough to the gods. That's why a lot of the older Vikings, became berserkers. They were the ones who they would sometimes go into battle naked, absolutely naked. You know, maybe covered their little dangly bits, but just so they don't chop it off. But they usually used great big claymores and shit, and they'd go in the front of the line and just go and kill everyone. Kind of like Marines. Kamikaze. Yeah. They're shield brothers. That's another thing that we've lost in this new age of technology and things. We've lost camaraderie amongst our brothers. Because let's be honest, half the men I would see nowadays I wouldn't even want to have a beer with because they would be talking about feminism and how fucking great it is to have pedos, children learn about homosexuality and transgenderism and all this other nonsense. I have no faith for this generation. My hopes go with Generation Z, but they'll be indoctrinated sooner than later as well, especially if the Democrats get their way, or the left-leaning folks get their way, because then they'll you know, give free university to people, so people can become indoctrinated and brainwashed to the point where they are now. I'm sure the CIA and deep state are really happy with the rise of Antifa and all those other crappy people. I wouldn't consider myself a conservative but I wouldn't consider myself. I'm a realist. Actually, I'm a realist. I believe in equal rights for everyone, not just some victim group. I don't believe in mass immigration. I don't believe, like I've said, I believe that the God's put us on the four corners of the earth, and those who are able to meet in the middle get to stay in the middle. Those who can't escape their own problems, then they don't deserve to be in the middle to contribute to the greater cause. Because borders are good for separating people. Those people over there may not have the same beliefs as the people over there. So why would you introduce all these people into your communities that just want to see you burn and die anyway? Or rape your women? Yeah. They don't respect us. They don't respect the West. They are jealous. They are so envious. They have no love for us. They don't want to be a part of us. They just want to destroy us. They want to destroy everything that's good and pure. When the gods created the earth, they put us on the four corners of the earth. When the gods created Midgard, they put us all on the four corners so we could meet in the middle. And those who could make it to the Grand Council of humans, I'm just being, whatever, I don't know what you would call it, but those people that could share ideas and grow, not the people who want to destroy everything. Dying, crying all the time. My love is gone. No one to blame but myself. No my own love me. Tell me a story. No. Demon schemer, what's your game? Demon schemer, what's your game? Live, die, don't matter to me. Live, die, don't matter to me until the dunnings are done, yeah. What was I playing? And what was I playing? What was I playing? Hey, what you gonna do? Hey, what you gonna do right now? Hey, what you gonna do right now, baby? What you want, baby? No, tell me like day, tell me something, tell me like day, tell me what you gonna do. Demon scheming, hope your breath, wish for death, my love. Oh no, got to go down, go down, go down. Oh my, they don't want it. Hey ho, what you gonna do right now? Hey baby, what you gonna do for me? Hey baby, got no time for measure pain. Just get it on the way. Love me, coming down the road. Hold me, baby, what you gonna do? Hey no, baby, no way. Hey ho, what you gonna do for me? Hey ho, what you gonna do? Baby, what you gonna do for me? Love me, tell me a story. Yeah, this is only 2 chords, you know. 2 chords, yeah. I don't care. I'm not a guitar player. I'm not a guitar player. I never said I will be a guitar player. I'm not a guitar player. I love the guitar. The guitar is my good friend. I love it. She's good, you know. She's good. She's dirty right now because it's summertime and it's hot in here. And can't open the windows because I live right on the highway, kind of, sort of, in an apartment that smells like mold. Yeah, no, it's a crappy town I live in. I've only been here for a few months, and it's really time to leave. There's no love here. There's no inspiration here. It's an industrial town with not much going on. They just laid off, like, I don't know, I was heard through the grapevine somewhere. I was doing something, I don't know. Somebody told me anyway that they just laid off like 1,500 people in this town, which is a big deal because there's not much work here in the first place. And 1,500 people is a lot of people in a small town. It's all industrialized, and they just, you know, why I understand from a business perspective. I understand why they would fucking lay off 1,500 people. I'm not gonna pay somebody $45 an hour to look at freaking rocks go down the road. You know, it's just not feasible to hire people anymore. They will automate as soon as, you know, they've raised the minimum wage in Canada too, so everything's gone up. Everything's gone up. I just paid for gas the other day for my car, and it was like, what was it? Like almost $1.40 a gallon. That's ridiculous. I remember. That's just ridiculous. And food is ridiculously priced now. And you can't even. Actually, the one thing that you can still afford if you're broke ass poor is beer. And beer is cheaper than fucking cigarettes, for Christ's sakes. I can still buy a 6-pack of beer for under $10. You can't buy a pack of smokes for under $10. That's it for sure. Well, you could, but they're garbage and they're from the States. Don't want them. Don't want to smoke them. They're gross. The cheap cigarettes from the States. Don't want them. You keep them over there. I got friends that actually smuggle cigarettes into Canada because of the price of cigarettes in this country, but they're garbage. Not even worth the money that you might save. But anyways, I'm trying to make a video, see if it works, and see how it sounds, see what it looks like. See if it's crazy, see if it's even worth posting.